All right, I'm Claude with SexyJazzNights.com, and today we meet great Canadian tenor saxophonist and educator Kirk MacDonald, and we're going to talk about you and the JazzWorks Jazz Camp coming right up.
Great. Good morning, Claude. Good to see you again. And I'll talk a little bit about the camp. JazzWorks Camp has been running for
Many years,
28 years apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been involved with this camp on a few occasions. Once before the pandemic, and I was back last year, and coming up again this year. And it's actually a great hang. It's a great faculty. The students are fantastic. And it's just a really nice all-around vibe. The grounds are beautiful as well. So we always have a great time. It's just a really nice thing to do.
I was there last year too. I actually went in for a bike ride on one day, and I did visit the camp, and I was impressed by the quality of the music and the ambiance and the beautiful setting. Lake MacDonald, is that a hazard? MacDonald on MacDonald?
Very distant relatives of mine, I think.
Maybe.
No, that's not the case. But
my first question to you, Kirk, as an educator, how do you approach teaching at a jazz camp, this one being the JazzWorks Jazz Camp, with such a diverse level of participants? There's people that come from all kinds of environments, and so how do you work with that?
It is an interesting thing, and I think that personally, I just try and be very practical about it. You try and get an idea of what the individuals need. A lot of the teaching, well, not a lot of the teaching is in a group context, like there are ensembles. Part of the composer symposium and the camp is that there are also some one-on-one opportunities. So that's when some of those things can be dealt with the students. But basically, in a group context, you're trying to create a working unit, and so you need to be mindful of everyone's level and their contributions and what you can do in that situation, how comfortable people are in terms of accepting feedback and these kind of things. So it's very challenging, but it's also fun. I've found with the adult learners, and not exclusive to adult learners, but they're so keen to learn things and their time is limited that they're very open and really great to work with. So it's actually a very different experience than much of the teaching I've done throughout my life, because people, they don't have all day to sit down and work on what you might give them. They don't necessarily have any intention of becoming professional musicians. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to give you these things to think about. You go home, you practice that 4, 5, 6 hours a day, come back, and everything is good. It's a different level. It's a different kind of purpose. So a lot of it is just to provide some kind of input, positive input, and have fun with it, which is what we're supposed to be doing anyway. So
sounds good. And like you were saying, you've been to the JazzWorks Jazz Camp and many others, from what I saw on your resume. And what's your greatest satisfaction when the camp is over and you're reflecting back on things that were happening? What nourishes you the most out of that experience?
Well, I always enjoy watching the campers perform. The final performance is always great to see. I'm there for the whole week. The camp itself is 3 days long, and I guess 4 with the performance day on the Sunday. But I also come up early and I do the composer symposium and practice retreat. So I get to see a longer period with many of the campers, in terms of being able to witness their own progress from beginning to end. With the composers symposium, many of the students, they like to write music. So you work on them one-on-one with compositions, you make some suggestions. We do read-through sessions where the faculty will perform their compositions. And then if they want to make any adjustments, we do that the next day. We give them an idea of what their compositions sound like. So oftentimes, the campers will, in their ensembles, perform their own compositions, which is nice. So I get to see a little bit of a longer curve in terms of their development. So that's always nice to see. And of course, just the energy and the passion that they have. That's the camp is like one of the probably limited opportunities they get to really devote themselves to music full time, the way us professionals would. So all of a sudden you just see like these taps, turning on and flowing, and people they're in there 100%, and pushing themselves. So it's just great to see the progress and just the attitude of the campers. It's very rewarding, very rewarding.
Interesting. What would you say to potential participants that might be intimidated to come to a jazz camp and jump in and go for that adventure? How would you approach them and try to convince them a little bit?
Well, I did, like, you're with like-minded people, so it's just finding a community of like-minded people where you can grow together, you can share your ideas. You're going to get, participants that are at different levels, but you're also going to get many that share much more, than one might think. That way, just in terms of level, interest, someone else to talk to who's going through, similar kind of challenges in terms of what they want to get together, the kind of music they might want to write or play, and this kind of thing. So there's a real sense of community with the campers, but also with the faculty. It's a very laid back, non-threatening environment, and it's just fun for everyone. It's just a real casual, open exchange, and it's a good chance to immerse yourself in music 24/7 for the duration of the camp.
Mm-hmm. And who would want to do anything else? So let's talk a little bit about your music as well on the subject.
Okay.
As your latest project, Generations, your 15th album. Wow, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Generations. I've done one since then, a a couple actually, but Generations was done in 2018, and it's a quartet. It's a follow-up, really, of a CD I did a couple of years prior called Vista Obscura, which was a quartet recording with Harold Mayburn.
With Harold, okay.
Andre White on drums and Neil Swainson. So
okay.
we've done a fair amount of work with that group, starting in about I think 2014, maybe even 2013, somewhere in there. And so we did a record called Vista Obscura, which won the Juno Award for 2015. And we did some touring in Canada with that group. And I brought the group down to Lincoln Center to perform in 2015. And I've gone down subsequently to do some things with Harold Mayburn as well, as a duo and quartet, New York, New Jersey. So I wanted to do another recording, essentially a ballads recording with that group. So in March of 2018, we had a Canadian tour booked. It was half quartet and half duo with Harold and I booked 2 days at the end of the tour to record the CD. I had my daughter on as a guest
on clarinet,
perform on 4 tunes. And so we did that. so that's been out for a bit. I've also since then recorded a co-led CD with the great saxophonist Pat LaBarbera called Train of Thought. And that was recorded live at the Rex with Brian Dickinson, Neil Swainson, and Joe LaBarbera playing the music of John Coltrane. That was nominated for a Juno Award as well. And the latest recording I was involved with is a co-led group called the Canadian Jazz Collective. And that's the group that's co-led with Derek Gardner on trumpet and Lauren Lofsky on guitar. So we are the main composers for that group. It also features Brian Dickinson on piano, Virginia McDonald on clarinet, Neil Swainson on bass, and Bernd Ryder on drums. So we've toured Europe twice with that group. We recorded our initial CD vinyl in the famed MPS studios in Villingen, Germany, in the midst of our first European tour, 2021. 2022. I'm sort of losing track of time. We just completed a European tour. So yeah, I guess we recorded that in 2022. And that's
you did a Canadian tour.
We did a Canadian tour in last week of March, first week of April, mainly Ontario, Quebec.
Yeah.
And then we went over and we did a 3-week tour of Europe. Did 6 countries, 18 different dates in 3 weeks. Pretty much the whole month of May this year. And so we have some other things planned with that group as well. So those are the main projects I've been involved with over the past few years. The group with Pat LaBarbera is ongoing. We've fronted that band for over 30 years now. And so it's a nice variety of things for me, and it's good to be involved with those great musicians, and it's ongoing, which is fantastic.
And if you had the chance to play with any musician or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh boy, okay, that's a tough question, because
I know.
It
Just like that.
Sort of insinuates that you don't really get an opportunity to work with many of the musicians that you love and enjoy working with, and I've certainly been fortunate that way.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean,
a dream gig, somebody, I don't know.
Well, I suppose someone like Herbie Hancock would be somebody that would be great to work with. I've had the opportunity of working with great piano players, so, like I've had a very close association with Harold Mayburn over the years. We played a lot of duo.
Yes, you have.
Associations with John Taylor, and that's been fantastic. And of course, many of the great Canadian pianists that I've worked with, Brian Dickinson and different people like that. So, but yeah, Herbie, I suppose, would have been nice, or McCoy Tyner. Those I suppose would be up there, just to get a feeling of, what people like John Coltrane had happening behind him, or Miles, or that kind of thing. I've been fortunate. I've had an opportunity to work fairly recently with Kenny Barron. That was fantastic. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to do a festival with Walter Bishop, and that was really something else. Just playing with players of that generation, and just how great they are at just opening up everything for you. And I just recall doing this gig with Walter Bishop and thinking, he worked with Bird for 4 years. Of course, he's going to know what to play behind me, because he's heard everything from the best there is. So I mean, those are always opportunities, but it's not always the biggest names that the music is just can happen on a great level with so many great musicians that in many ways are unsung, but
Good point.
Jones is somebody I would always would have loved to have worked with. And again, I've had experiences with great drummers that I sort of get a taste of what that's like. I remember doing a faculty concert at Humber College with Jack DeJohnette, and Pat LaBarbera was on the concert, who spent many years working with Elvin, and I was on the concert. And I just loved the way he played time and how far back it was and how big the beat was. And I was just, experiencing that and talking to Pat about it. He said, yeah, he said Elvin had the same kind of thing, like back there. Adam Nussbaum's another guy that, does that kind of thing. So, we all come up in our own time. So some of those things, it's go, yeah, it would be nice, but it's like what's happening in one's life is also
exactly.
So I'm happy with the associations that I've had and the opportunities I've had, to work with so many great musicians.
Yes. And if you had one last thing that we haven't spoken about that you'd like to say to our readers about the JazzWorks Jazz Camp, just something that you might want to add that we haven't touched about, that you'd like to say one last open
I'll just talk a little bit about the camp from what I know. It's been a long running camp, and it's unique in the sense that like it originated in Ottawa, and Judith Humanick has been involved as the producer for many years, and she runs a great organization with JazzWorks Canada, and she surrounds herself with great people. So she's put together an international faculty. Adrian Vedati is the artistic director, of course, out of Montreal. There's a contingent of teachers from Montreal, also from Toronto and Ottawa, and
it's a mix. A mix.
So there's a really wonderful mix, and some great musicians and great educators and great people. So everyone that's teaching there is very passionate about education, very passionate about performing, composing. And so it's a nice hang. It's a really great, very positive, supportive vibe. And it's a world-class faculty. And so, the Composers Symposium is really a chance for those that are really keen and ambitious to get in there. And so they either work their compositions or they work on their playing, and there's a lot of one-on-one time, with that. And that's really great. And that sets things up nicely. All the faculty typically run their own ensembles, which is great. So we bring music in, we know ahead of time what the instrumentation is going to be and prepare accordingly. All the faculty do a master class in a given area of expertise. We try and balance it out. So, if I'm doing something on improvisation, somebody else might do something on technique or rhythm or repertoire or harmony. And so it's very comprehensive, and all the faculty get an opportunity to bring to the camp what it is they do, and there's a diversity there, and it's very open. It's nice. It's a great opportunity for people to perform, to practice. We do a faculty concert every year. That's always great. There are jam sessions. Faculty are involved in those as well. So it's just a great way to spend a week. Have some fun, play some music, learn a few things, and very nice hang too. So it's definitely a worthwhile experience for sure.
Thank you so much, Kirk. So again, I will give more information about the jazz camps. It's just JazzWorks Jazz Camp, which is being held at Lake MacDonald. That's about an hour and a half northwest of Montreal, August 21st to 27th, actually Jazz Camp and Jazz Composers Symposium, 2 events
Yeah, both together is
that make
21 to
that make a
27.
complete week. So thank you so much, and we might see you there.
I hope so. It was good to see you last year. Thank you very much, Claude. It's great to see you again.
Thank you so much now. Have a great
All
day,
right.
Kirk.
Take care.
Bye-bye.